Hi and welcome to the Barn Studio, or hi and welcome to Knuckleball Prime Time. Live from the Barn Studio, you got the Mox and Jeremy from the Dirty Right Rear podcast. Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm great. Just got off work, so ready to talk some sports cards.
Hey, sports cards. We got a couple of special guests in the house today. We have Mark and Devin, and you guys are putting on are a part of the Farmington Sports Card and Collectibles show, July 12th, Saturday, July 12th, from 9 a.m. to 4 at the VFW in Farmington at 814 East Karsch. Welcome to the studio, guys, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and we like collectibles and sports and things like this, too, so it only made sense.
This place is awesome.
My stuff isn't valuable, but we were talking off air, and Mark, me and you have been collectors for a while, and we'll get into your story too, Devin. But I would say my stuff is more sort of personal. Either I've collected it myself, or it has a little bit of either it's my favorite player, or me and my daughters got it, or I have some kind of story to it. You guys, how did you guys first get into the collectible world? Would you say, Devin? Let's start with you.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say social media and TikTok is a big part of why I started getting back into collectibles. You know, as a kid, I collected Pokemon and sports cards. I've always been one of the biggest sports fans that I've ever known. You know, I could name every player, every NASCAR driver, every fighter since I was the age of 4 and 5. But collecting is something I've always wanted to get into. And having a cool PC is just it's an underrated thing to have. You got a lot of nice cars and a lot of nice stuff. So I think TikTok coming around and being able to get interactive with the community, being able to buy, sell, and trade, getting into breaks, that's what really has driven my passion more north for collecting. And it's been able to it's been great. I've been able to develop a very nice personal collection. I got some cards that are near and dear to me that I would never get rid of. And I think that's pretty much the main thing, is just being able to be a part of a community. It's tight-knit, and you never really know who's in. You see all kinds of people from different walks of life being into collecting, and I think that's just what's really cool about it. Just a really cool, tight-knit community, and it just makes it better for everybody.
So when you say that breaks is something you're big into, what is that? Because when you told me that earlier and then mentioned again, I have no idea what that means.
So a break is a accumulation of different boxes. Let's just say there's 5 boxes of different football cards, and it's $100 a random team. You will get every card from that team that is hit out of those sealed products. It's kind of a gambling aspect, and I think that's what has kind of made breaking really big. It's gambling.
So it's sort of like a mystery box.
Not exactly, because you know what team you have. It's not really a mystery box. They do have, repacks, which someone takes a single card out of a box and places it into their own packaging. That has become a really big hit now. You see everybody running repacks on, Whatnot, which is a breaking site. It's really just an auction house for anything, but sports cards has really driven Whatnot kind of to the place where it is today. It's basically it's gambling though, and it's fun. But for me as a collector standpoint, I don't really sell a whole lot of cards personally, so I keep what I get. A lot of these people are just they're chasing the dragon. They're trying to hit the next big thing and sell it. It doesn't work out too often. So, but that's what a break is. It's you get a random team and you get the cards from that team in the accumulation of boxes that are sitting in front of you.
Okay.
So for those that are tuning in, they might not know, you said PC, and that's a personal collection, right? Which is kind of what I described, what a lot of this is in here. So you went from a fan and a collector to now you're putting on shows. And how did that transition happen? How did that decision happen? Because I've been involved, not in, card shows, but I've been involved in events, and that can sometimes be a little bit stressful, and sometimes it could, cost a little money, and it's always a little bit of a risk reward kind of thing if people show up. So how did you get in? How did you go, how did you transition to a show, promoter?
Well, I think it's just I walked into a couple of card shops one day. I have a big personality. I love just chatting it up with sports, with people. And meeting a lot of people has really kind of put me into the spot where, I think I could probably pull this off. I know a lot of people that are in the hobby. I just interact with them. I have positive experiences with everybody. And I think just me walking into a couple card shops one day has really kind of kicked this whole thing off. And Farmington has really needed a good card show for a while now. We haven't had one in over a year. the last one was about over a year ago. And, you know, I hope this is a great show, but I hope this is something that I can build on. So this was kind of a learning experience for me to see how this would do. We filled every table that was there. Granted, it wasn't a whole lot of tables. I just didn't know how deep I wanted to get into this. So I want to see the turnout of how it goes, and hopefully we're putting on shows with 100, 200 plus tables, getting some big time players in there, and all just hanging out and having a good time. So I walked into a couple card shops one day, started chatting it up, and been able to meet a lot of people in the process of buying and selling and doing breaks. And I think that just kind of put me where I'm at today. That's how I met this man sitting right here. He walked into a card shop one day. I liked his cards, and now we chatted up. So.
Yeah, in full transparency, me and Mark here have known each other for many years, go back way back. And some of the collectibles that you probably see in here, maybe Mark was there when we got a few of them. Mark, we've hit well, I mean, this is going to date us a little bit, but we would go to St. Louis Rams shows. We went to the 2009
World All-Star game.
All-Star game in St. Louis and the Fan Fest. And we have a lot of stories that maybe we'll save for another time on collecting autographs. And even when we got Kurt Warner's autograph, and you know, we were kind of really big into, I would say, the hunting of the autograph at the time.
Yeah, trying to meet the players.
Yeah, meet the players and find their, you know, where they would come in and go, you know, when they would leave Busch Stadium or leave the Dome or whatever.
Leave from, you know, and everything like that.
But I would say, you know, I've seen your collection. It's been a little bit, but I know your collection is crazy. You're a fan. You buy, trade, sell, all kinds of stuff all throughout, you know, just all the time. So talk about maybe, you know, your, I guess, personal story and personal journey to collecting.
Yeah, so my story is a little bit different than Devin's. And again, I'll probably date myself a little bit here. But so I started collecting, you know, I was real poor growing up. We didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of things. I lived in Arizona at the time. And my mom, we lived really close to a card shop. And my mom actually was the one that took me there. And they had, for 75 cents, 50 cents, you could get in a brown paper bag, like a lunch sack, just a grab bag, they called them then, of cards. And that's really what started it out, is like seeing what you could get in those grab bags or those mystery bags. And then, you know, it progressed from there. I started getting, you know, I got a binder and was saving them and collecting them there. It was something me and my mom could do. And again, relatively cheap at the time to get into. And, you know, obviously it then made me more interested in sports, because now I'm knowing who players are and things of that nature. So I started getting more interested in that. And then a really cool thing when I was a kid too was, you know, you have the ice cream trucks, you remember, that used to drive around and everything like that. Well, one of them was a card truck.
Oh, wow.
And they sold baseball cards, sports cards out of this ice cream truck that would drive around, and they would put the binders out. They'd have different card pictures up on the wall of it instead of ice cream. And you would be able to buy, sell, and even trade with the guy who was driving this card truck around. So,
wow, I never heard of that. That's interesting.
That was awesome. That was pretty sweet. And so that made it even more exciting for me as a kid, because, I mean, ice cream is great, but like, that was awesome.
Yeah, the ice cream goes away at some point.
Exactly right. It doesn't stay with you like that does.
Yeah.
And so, like, there was that, you know, and then after I joined the military, right after high school, I kind of lost touch of all that, you know. So I think my mom got rid of all my cards from back then, the majority of them anyways. And after I got out of the military, I started getting back into it again. You know, there was a couple guys here. One of them owned a little card shop just north of North County School, right there on that outer road as well. I remember going into that shop in the earlier years when we first started knowing each other back 2004, 5, 6, 7. In those times. So that was really cool. And I remember, you know, still being and getting more interested then. And then you had in Park Hills, Ken's Cards and Coins.
Yeah, I remember that.
To go into his shop.
Talk about a personable dude. And he was a Cubs fan, so that was always
wearing Cubs gear.
Yeah, I remember him.
He's just a cool guy.
Yeah.
You could go in there and he had just a very tiny little shop, you know, but he had cards, coins, collectibles, different things. And but then, yeah, you know, then I remember, you know, after, again, harder times, different stuff, I sold my entire collection that I had built up to buy furniture in a new house. And you know, so I got out of it then, but that didn't last long. 2 more years I passed by, I get right back into it again. And yeah, I think the social media aspect of it, Facebook, which was really big bigger back then. There was no streaming platforms and whatnot, and things like that. But there were Facebook groups, and I've been involved in some of the bigger Facebook groups since they were very starting out and from the very beginning. Like I've been a member in those since 2004, 5, 6, 7, and going forward. So I've always stayed involved in that way. Then fantasy sports started coming around again as another way to stay more engaged and interested. So, I mean, for me, it was basically started out from it being just something to do that didn't cost a lot of money, but that could get you excited about something. And so to have that type of a feeling is priceless.
I'm just super interested, Sutton. I'm sure you're the same way. When we were kids, you collected baseball cards. It was the thing that you did, right? There wasn't all these different other things. And that's why, not to sound like the old man shaking his fist at the sky, but we were outside more. We played pickup basketball more, and we traded cards. That was like one of the things you did as a kid. And now to see it come back, and I would say it's even more popular than maybe it was in the height of the 80s and 90s of card collecting.
Oh, yeah. I would agree with you. Like it's come back, especially during the time of COVID when people weren't going and doing a lot of things. That's when this got bigger. And I think Devin made a really good point too when it comes to breaks and when it comes to these mystery boxes and things like that. There is also then that gambling aspect of it.
Yeah.
That it's just a mystery. It's just a game of chance, and so it plays on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's big, and again, I've got a kind of addictive personality when it comes to that kind of stuff. I mean, I collect Pokemon cards, sports cards, retro video games. I'll even walk into flea markets and be searching up eBay as I'm walking through the flea markets, and I don't care if there's this ashtray from 1887 and it's for $5 and sold on eBay, one like it for $25. I'm probably buying it.
You got to check the comps.
I'm probably going to get it.
Sucker for a deal, right?
Right, or and just again, because
flipping stuff.
The reality is, and also too, like Devin, I'm mostly a collector. I do sell every now and then, but not all the time. It's really more rare when I do.
I always like to deal with Mark because he'll get into a mood where you're like, you know what, he actually might want to sell some stuff today. I always
him at the right time.
I always try to push his buttons. I'm like, you want to sell that? You want to sell that? You want to sell this? Do some trading. But he drives a hard bargain sometimes. Sometimes he's just not in the mood to sell. He would rather buy. So when you catch Mark in the mood to sell, you might as well just
take advantage.
Buy everything you can because it probably won't happen for another 4 months.
And I know a little plug, but I'll have 3 tables set up at the show on the 12th. So
let's talk about it. What can the attendees expect as far as vendors go? I know it's sports cards and that's kind of maybe the foundation of it, but collectibles as well. You're talking Pokemon and Funko Pops and all the like collectibles sort of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say right now it's probably 70% sports cards. So that's going to be your main meat and potatoes. I think that's the stuff where you find a lot of people that are just wanting to buy. It's the most popular thing. And then I would say probably 20% Pokemon. We got some big Pokemon guys that are going to be going out there and setting up tables. I personally love Pokemon. Mark, big Pokemon guy. He's got some nice.
I dabble.
He dabbles in the Pokemon a little bit. I less dabble in the Pokemon, but I love ripping Pokemon just because the price point. You can rip it for a lot cheaper than sports. Sports is, and it's funny that Mark was saying that it's just a cheap, fun thing to do when you're a kid. It's probably one of the most expensive fun things you can do now. So it's just crazy how the times have changed everything. But yeah, so you're probably looking at 70% sports cards, 20% Pokemon, 10% memorabilia, collectibles, Funko Pops, comic books, and all that. So there's definitely a place for everybody to come, and we welcome everybody. I think we're going to do some raffles. We're going to do some giveaways. There's going to be some snacks there. It's going to be a good time, and I hope for a great turnout, and we can really do another one and just make it massive. That's what I want to do, because I don't want to do it. I want to do it and do it right. That's kind of the goal. I'm not going to do it if I can't do it to the best of my ability. So hopefully this is a good foundation of what is to come, and we can get some more shows going in the future. That would be the ultimate goal here.
And again, we're talking about the Farmington Sports Card and Collectibles Show, and Farmington VFW, Saturday, July 12th from 9 to 4. Who is this show for? Is it for the hardcore enthusiast? Is it for somebody that's just getting started? Is it for kids? Who's it for?
I'm just going to be cliche. I'm just going to say this is for everybody. And I'll tell you why. When you go to these card shows, you see a lot of big-time card shop vendors, and it's mainly big-time guys selling super, super high-end cards. And there's not a spot for everybody when you go to those shows because you don't want to spend hundreds to thousands of dollars on one card. I think there's going to be a lot of variety for everybody to enjoy. And all these vendors that I know of, to me, besides two, are just small town collectors and people that are really involved in the hobby and want to make it a better place, because that's what I want to do. I just want to make it a more inclusive and better place for everybody to have fun and, you know, to show off their passion for something. That's why I do it. I don't do it to make money. I do it solely for fun, and I want everybody to be happy and have fun, and I think that's what it's for. So I think there's a place for everybody there. There's Pokemon, there's collectibles, there's sports cards, there's low end, there's high end, there's going to be boxes to rip. So if you are interested in cards at all, you definitely have a place at this show.
So how did you go about selecting the vendors, and which vendors are you allowed to come in? And
Text message. Whoever texted me to fill the tables first. So
Okay.
I've actually had a lot of comments that I sold these tables too cheap, and I'm actually losing money at this show. The venue costs more than the tables, so you're welcome to everybody who has a table and who hopefully they can sell and make some money and turn it into more cards to sell. So yeah, whoever, first come, first serve. I know I had some people that were handpicked that wanted to get involved, like Mark here. Mark's a staple in this hobby, in this community, I think. Everybody knows Mark, so had to make sure he was there. And then other than that, it was first come, first serve. There's a lot of people from St. Charles texting me, Cape Girardeau texting me. So I think it's going to be a great turnout, and I'm going to get to meet a lot of new people and hopefully do some deals with them and, form a relationship. That's what it's all about.
are you still allowing vendors to sign on?
We are not. All of our tables are full. So everybody...
You missed out. You should have texted earlier.
Should have texted earlier. It was, because it really wasn't... Everybody told me, he's like, this is not enough time to set up a show. So I think I proved them wrong there, and, proved it to myself that, man, I actually know some people that can fill some tables for me and have a good time. So like I said, I think this is going to be a sign of things to come, and hopefully it's a great turnout and everybody has a good time and nothing but good things said about the show.
Yeah, and another thing is to remember, too, that, again, the vendors that are there, the people that have tables, are not just there to sell, but they're also buying, they're trading, the whole 9 yards. So just because maybe you don't have a lot of cash for some of the bigger stuff, bring what you have, see what you can do, and,
You got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, please bring me your cards so I can buy them.
It's something that I think most all men at some point or sometime in their life have collected cards, whether it be Pokemon cards, basketball, baseball, football cards. And it's something that, I did as a child, and I look back and I sure wish I had some of those cards that we used to play baseball with, or flip, or, trade, or, pull out of the package just because we wanted to look at the stats on them or whatnot. But it's cool to think about that coming back and, maybe getting back into it.
Well, and everybody's a kid too, so what is more fun than opening a pack of cards?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing to me.
Right.
There's nothing to me.
How much does a pack of baseball cards go for these days at the store? Can you even buy them locally?
Yes, yeah. There's definitely a few shops around that will sell you some good stuff. But I mean, as far as the pricing goes, you can buy a pack for $5. You can buy a pack for
$105.
$105,
Yeah.
$1,005.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Probably $10,005. I mean, really, there's some of this product is just absolutely outrageous that it's just crazy. I mean, I saw some boxes go on auction yesterday for some WNBA cards. They started off Dutch auction at $30,000. What did they end up falling at? About $14,000?
Yeah, or something. I even think they went down to like $5,000.
$5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, they're selling on eBay right now for $14,000. So if you'd have got them for $5,000, you'd made a nice little profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody looking for that Caitlin.
Everybody's looking for the Caitlin Clark. So this specific box, there's 2 cards a box. So one of the cards is a guaranteed case hit, downtown, kaboom. That's something we can talk about later. And then and the other card in the box is a guaranteed auto of either Angel Reese, which people don't love, or Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is definitely the chase. I was watching the break today, and somebody hit a 4 of 5 RPA of Caitlin Clark, and RPA is rookie patch auto. She's a rookie. The card has a patch. It has her signature. It's on card, and someone offered $60,000 for it in the show, and they bought a spot for $200.
So the crazy part of that, you know what she makes a year off her salary to WNBA?
Yeah.
Her cards sell for more than what she makes.
I seen a thing today. Her salary is $78,000.
Yeah. There's a card out there, and that's the 101. It's the logo of the WNBA logo with her auto. What do you think it's going to do?
Oh, yeah. I think that card's going to be well into probably $500,000.
Holy.
See, I would say $1 million. I think it will do. I think it'll do just as. I think it'll be one of the biggest sports card sales of all time.
Who has that card?
It has not been pulled yet.
Nobody yet.
Wow.
It's out there
Just came
in
out
the
today.
boxes. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what I like about cards. Again, the addictive personality in me. The odds of getting something good, better, great, are better than the lottery.
Right?
Yeah.
For
sure.
Those
sure.
tickets sell like madness too. But, again, you can go and spend the same amount in sports card product and probably turn a higher profit or a higher value or something more back instantaneously like that.
Can I tell you my Caitlin Clark story?
Yes.
So we were talking off air how we've been lucky to be credentialed for some things, and one was when she was going to Iowa, and so got media credentialed to see her a few times, and one, I'll just mention this just for fun. Pregame, she hit about probably 40 threes in a row.
Wow.
Without missing. Unbelievable, incredible. But after the game, all the media runs to there's a press room where they do the after game news conference, right? And so we all run in there, and it was when the buzz was like buzzing hard. And the coach comes in, the other player comes in, and no Caitlin. And I'm like, did I drive to Iowa and I'm not even going to get to do this, right? And then there's like little rumblings of like, is she really like big timing us already kind of thing, with the media guys? She showed up late, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, it's getting to her head. Well, she was out still at the court. She took off her game-worn shoes and signed them and gave them to a kid, and that's why she was late. Mm-hmm. So, you love to hear things like that, right? Because the people behind the cards and behind the things that we watch on TV, you find out they're actually good people, and they're in the biggest spotlight ever. So that was just a neat experience that we had and that I had, and I like to share that when I get a chance to.
Right, and that's kind of why I think you see that in terms of price point, because she is such a good person and she's doing unprecedented stuff that nobody has ever seen before. Right. She will probably go down as the greatest. She's a pioneer for women's basketball for sure, and they are definitely glad to have her. And I would definitely be glad to have one of her rookie cards, an auto, rookie auto.
Right. Let's talk about valuation a little bit, because this is always kind of interesting to me. I have behind you guys, I have a Stan Musial, and that's probably worth about $30. He's one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but apparently there's a warehouse where there's thousands of things that he's signed. So a lot of the value that gets put on it, it gets put on it by people that want it, like if somebody's really popular or whatever, but some of the valuation comes from how many are there out there, right? So I think of somebody like Pete Rose's autograph. It's not worth a whole lot because he just signed in, and now he's passed away, unfortunately, but so maybe the valuation went up some, but there's so much out there that it brings the value down. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's several different factors, of course, that go into it, but rarity is definitely one of the factors. But you also have that hype, how good they are, what they're doing, if it's something they're doing now or something they go down in history for all time as. All of that stuff matters. So, to speak on that, it all has kind of its role that it's played, because I know definitely of plenty of things that are very rare but don't have a high value. So again, it's not just that. Again, I think a lot of things kind of all go into it.
When you guys are buying, what do you know what your price point is?
So there's a lot of different ways, basically, of checking, what things have sold for. Like I remember I told you earlier how I was going through flea markets and thrift stores, and I'll look at what they go for on eBay and what they've sold for.
Comparables,
So,
comps.
they call them comps or comparable sales, basically. Kind of even like how the real estate market works.
Yeah.
Plug for Devin, realtor.
Hey, there you go.
But it's kind of like how that works. You look what's available. You look how it's sold, because really it's the same rule that everything is worth as much as somebody will pay for it.
Right.
So go look and see what people have paid for it. And there's a lot of apps that are going around now, not just filtering on eBay, looking at the sold valuations of whatever particular thing you're looking for, but apps like Market Movers, Card Ladder, things like that all grab data from all of the different auction houses that happen and bring that data so that you can look at it and find it more quickly. So
yeah, there's a lot of tools accessible to looking up comps and stuff by that. But collecting is kind of, there's not too many people like Mark out there anymore. It's kind of lost its art. So when I do some deals, selling cards and whatnot, I don't sell to collectors because there's 400 flippers and buyers to the one collector. So you hear 80% comps. That's what you hear a lot. People want to buy cards at 80% of what the last sold was,
so that they
eBay.
can sell it for 90.
So they can sell it for 90.
Right.
Because all it is you're selling a card, you're trying to move stuff for 80% comps, and then they find someone that could sell it for 90% comps.
It's the stock market.
Essentially, yeah. It's a
really
tangible stock market. And I think that's what kind of draws me into it the most, is because I have a stock sitting in here. I'm not a big stock guy. I don't know what any of it means. I can go on, all the sites and be like, okay, the line's moving this way and whatnot, but I don't really know what it is. Like, if I'm holding a card in my hand, it is a tangible object and it's a tangible stock. And that's why, he was talking about fantasy. You get some cards of the best fantasy player that you got and how they do, and you could sell them. Like, if they go to the playoffs, if they break a record, if they win a championship, they win MVP, that's a stock. Their prices are going to go way up. So it's a tangible stock, and it's really cool. And like I was talking to somebody, they bought a Mickey Mantle in 2003 for $7,500, a PSA 3 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. You'd be hard pressed to find one for 60 to 70,000 right now.
Wow, good stock.
Good stock. Good stock. I mean,
and it works just like that. Like, let's say that a player gets a lot of hype behind them. They're a number one prospect in baseball, for example. Their product gets first, here's this first product that has their card and their autograph and everything in it. Yeah, boom. And you see a big spike in the price of all of these things. And then, of course, depending on then how good they do, will drive how that market goes from there. So a lot of times, knowing that stuff can also help you depending on what your goals are. Like, are you trying to use this to make a profit and to build on it? And I think, again, even collectors to some degree do that too. I mean, I got a wife and, I got to keep her happy. And if I want to go spend a bigger amount on something, well, she knows, like, our rule is, like, I got to sell enough to get that money back for her so she's cool. I can keep whatever's left, like, kind of a thing. So, I mean, I have to know all that at the same time, too. And that's actually, over the years between me and her, like, she knows. Like, if I say, hey, I need X amount because I'm going to buy this, or we're at a show and I'm saying, yeah, I want this, and even if it's a little bit higher value, she doesn't really hesitate because she knows, like, all of that homework and all of that stuff that I've done. And, again, trust, goes a long way, but that, boom, yeah, it's not going to be an issue. I wouldn't put our family in a bind doing it or anything like that. You know, of course, again, there's that gambling aspect of it, but just like anything else, bid responsibly.
So Shohei might, when it's all said and done, might go down as the greatest baseball player to ever exist. Yep.
He just might.
And we're probably closer to there than we're not. So, what is something like his value in this collectible community? What kind of?
That's so funny that you brought this up, because I actually was having a conversation with somebody about vintage baseball cards and what card we think will have long term. Because, I mean, you see like the Mickey Mantles, the Willie Mays, the Jackie Robinsons of the world, they're all going to do crazy numbers all the time. But what about when these, the smaller Hall of Famers in the 50s and 60s, what happens to them for 50 years from now? So that's what we were talking about with Shohei. Shohei is an unprecedented market that I don't know if many people have seen because he is from Japan. So Shohei's value is international. And that is a major, major driving factor. They're going to build a statue of him in Japan. You know what I mean?
He's sooner than later.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for real. And I think if you were to buy a Shohei Ohtani, right now, his value is really high. Like, he just had a 50-50 season, first of all time. That, and baseball is one where it is a slow rise to the Hall of Fame and, you know, what comes next after that. He is probably going to go down as the best baseball player in this modern era easily. I think if you were to buy some of his autos are outrageous. If you were to buy an auto, it's something that you could always be able to sell just because he is so international. He's a very safe bet just because of what he has done up to this point. After, you know, he retires and gets into the Hall of Fame, you're going to see a little bit of a spike, maybe 5-10% potentially of what your investment is now. Something crazy would have to happen for Shohei to see like that Mickey Mantle spike we were talking about. And, you know, but I think he is, you know, economy proof, and he will just rise gradually with how the economy goes. And like I said, he's on an international platform. Everybody in the world probably knows who Shohei Ohtani is. So there's going to be a buyer for his cards all the time. Right. And I mean, he's very safe investment. And if you wanted to just load up, I was looking at a lot of Shohei's. There's like 14 Bowman rookies and all PSA 10s. And PSA is a grading company that grades cards based on their condition out of the pack. And I could have bought them for $200 a piece. There was 13 of them. That would have been $2,600. I think they go for like $700 in a PSA 10. So I missed the mark on that one. So yeah. Kick myself for that, but I think he's very safe, and I think he will definitely make money. He's a long-term, though, because his value is going to gradually gain for the rest of time, probably.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, also with that, because, again, so he was a rookie. His rookie card came out. There's some as early as 2017 and 16 that were from Japan, but in Major League, it's 2018. Even if you were to get a new product right now from 2024, 25, a minimum price for his autograph card, despite it being numbered out of whatever, is going to be like $1,500. I mean, you're not going to find an autograph of his cheaper than that, much cheaper. I mean, you may be $1,200 from a guy that really wants to sell and something like that, but I mean, you're not going to find one cheaper than that. That's what it is. The most common is they're about $2,500 to $3,000. Wow. But then you get cards like his 2018 Bowman Chrome Rookie that just sold at Golden Auctions just a few months ago, numbered 25, autographed on card, and it's selling for $500,000, $600,000.
Wow.
So, I mean, the range of it, and when you talk about it like that, it could just be anything. But let something bad happen.
So
that, yeah, go ahead.
When you know, I'm going to not really change the subject, but when you go to buy, say, a Shohei autograph, you know, how do guys like you determine if that's valid, if it's real, or if it's a fake? You know, I know it ain't like TV where we can't call in an expert. So, you know, say there's a autograph at the show next weekend. How do you know that that's real?
Oh no, I call Rick at Pawn Stars all the time. No, I mean, what we do is, again, like for when you see them, a lot of times the card itself will have an authentication statement on the back from the manufacturer. So that's one way of knowing. And again, of course, there's counterfeits too, so it can still have that, and you have to kind of know some of the other signs, which again is just part of the education of things. But then also, you can buy them already graded and authenticated by, like what he was saying, at companies like PSA, Professional Sports Authenticator, BGS, which is Beckett Grading Services, CSG, and SGC, and there's a number of different grading card companies out there. I would say PSA, BGS, SGC are the three big ones for sports. CSG, another top one when you're talking about Pokemon cards. But yeah, like the value of these things though, and when you're looking for that, you want to try to maybe be smart, because like stock, it is investing, and you want to make sure that if you are going to spend that kind of money, that you're getting something that's real and that's authenticated.
So chances are, if I show up to the show next week with an autographed card that's not authentic,
you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything not authenticated.
Exactly.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Or they see you come in, they're like,
informed.
There's the sucker.
Most of the people who are at the point where they do set up tables and they set up shows, they've done that homework, and they know what to look for when they're buying and they're looking. And again, they'd be happy to even look at what you have and let you know too. Again, I think a lot of vendors too they're happy to share their experience. So to say, hey, look, and here's what this is, here's what I think of that. But listen, obviously, I'm not a professional grader, so if you want to, I suggest just sending it in.
Right.
And here maybe is the process of how to do that.
Yeah, and like Mark was saying, Topps makes it very easy for you to tell if it's a real autograph. You're not going to see a fake autograph typically on a Topps card of Shohei Ohtani. It's going to be some random card, like just something that's not Topps. I don't know.
Oh, there's plenty of reprints.
Yeah, there's plenty of reprints, but
counterfeit cards.
Topps makes it very good. They say Topps, this autograph is guaranteed by Topps. Authentication, that's what it is. And it's got a little hologram sticker on it, so they make it pretty easy for you. So you definitely know what you're looking at. And honestly, a lot of those Shohei Ohtanis that you're going to see, if they're an auto, they're probably going to be graded already anyway. Because you just got to make the money on it.
Yep.
I just think it's so funny. When I was a kid, it was the old Beckett's. You'd flip the page and you'd find out, oh, this is worth 15 cents.
Right.
This is worth $1 or something.
The old book that was about that thick.
Yeah.
They need to bring those
Right.
back. They need to bring those back.
Yeah, I got some old ones.
Yeah, they would have like the high value and the low value.
Yeah.
But it actually took me a long time to learn that, that what that meant, right? And what those prices even meant, because what it means is like when it was in the high value, that's basically like saying this is what you can expect to find the card for. Like that's like what they valued it at. The low value didn't just mean low value. What it meant was through research and trying to look and find it, you may be able to find it as low as this. That's kind of like how they use their ranges, and you can still actually find a certain degree of that online. Beckett, all of their price guides still are online, and even some stores, limited, because of just the cost associated with it and whatnot. But they still make print versions too.
And remember, I remember that they would print out a new one every month.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
have like the August issue, the September issue.
Yeah, and you'd check your cards to see if they went up any.
Right, yep.
Yeah. The market just moves way too fast for a magazine to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
Prices change
Yeah.
on the hour, depending on how many cards are listed on eBay of that card. The auctions are going to be down that day.
And then, of
it's
course,
just absolutely
bad things
insane.
happening, like we said earlier. They get injured. They touch kids. They, do drive-bys. They are involved in a murder. Like all that stuff impacts things. Oddly enough, though, like some things not as much as you'd think. Aaron Hernandez's stuff still sells pretty well.
Does it really?
Like and different things.
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs.
He still sells.
Still sells pretty decently. And sometimes, again, because with that, it's like, hey, I like something with a story. Like it's a little bit extra thing to it. Kind of.
People
something.
Like the OJ thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They collect the prison PC. That's what they do. They collect all the guys that went to prison.
So I think I might know the answer for Mark, but I'll ask you guys, is there something that you're willing to overpay for just for your own personal collection?
Yes.
I always overpay for my own personal collection. I'm a Raiders fan, so they don't get me off cheap for Raiders cards.
Well, like, and again.
What Raiders?
Yeah.
Raiders?
Yeah.
Oakland Raiders.
Oakland.
No, what players?
Oh, what players? Oh,
okay.
Brock Bowers, probably the greatest tight end the NFL's ever seen. So, Henry Ruggs. I got a little Henry Ruggs collection. People aren't a fan of that, but Bowers is the best. So, and now we got Genty. So people I get so many texts today about cards. Like you think it's my full-time job. Everybody texts me like, "What's this? What's this?" Or "Do you want to buy this card?" And it's always Raiders, Henry Ruggs, and Tink Hence. Tink Hence, he's a Cardinals prospect. I have the full rainbow of his first Bowman autos, all graded in a PSA 10, so I'm pretty proud of that. So let's go Tink Hence.
And what he means by rainbow is like he's got the cards that are all parallels, all version of this card from this set, starting with the card that's one of one. Like this is the only card of this.
The only
type
card
that
I don't
exists.
have.
And then you have, like, it could go numbered to 5, numbered to 10, numbered to 25, 50, 99, 49.
Yep, they're all graded. They're all autographed PSA 10, so that's really cool. But, yeah, I just get so many people text me about, do you want this Raider card? Do you want this Tink Hence card? Do you want this Henry Ruggs card? You think it's a full-time job? Really, but it's not.
Because you can get so excited about it for different reasons. Like, if I open up a pack and I get a card that's numbered to 5, Well, I'm immediately going on eBay to try to buy the other 4.
Yeah.
I want all 5 of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what about you, Mark? Yeah. Talking about overpaying for stuff.
So again, like I said, I grew up pretty poor. So I mean, there are certain things that I remember from my childhood. Like in 1996, 97, I can remember that I was opening basketball cards, Topps Chrome at the time, and that's a huge year. That was Kobe's rookie year. But the two highest valued cards in that set are Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. And out of the pack at Target, that I don't think I bought. But I remember I got a Michael Jordan refractor out of that. Wow. And I was so pumped, right? But then again, of course, I'm poor. So at the same time, I went to one of the card shows that were inside malls a lot back then. Yeah. And what I did was I sold that card for $75. I can't buy it under $5,000.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got
to be really?
But I would. Yeah, I would, and it's hard to find. Yeah, not a lot of people have it. The ones that do don't want to sell it. So
it's an emotional attachment.
At every card show I go to, I look for that card.
Really?
Because I will pay more or trade really heavily or whatever the case may be. Would love to get it back.
Yeah. Sell Mark your Michael Jordans.
Kobe Bryant, LeBron James,
Luka Doncic, Steph Curry.
Yep.
He likes those guys.
Those are my big
so flood his text messages with those guys. So you got any of their cards?
Which is cool because basketball isn't as popular here.
Yeah.
But it's
because we don't have a professional team.
But it's the king of cards everywhere else.
Really?
Yeah, basketball is the most popular cards almost everywhere else.
Really?
And because
I never would have guessed that.
I wouldn't have either.
One of the reasons is also because of its big international footprint too. Yeah. So you've got buyers from everywhere wanting that, and that's what keeps it higher up.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either.
It's very close. I think baseball will always reign supreme. Baseball's forever.
Well, isn't it called a baseball card even when it's basketball?
Sports card.
It's a sports card. It's a sports card. They're all sports cards. I think baseball reigns supreme because it is also that international level. You do play it everywhere.
Yeah.
As far as value goes, there is a lot of big spenders in the basketball world. And like I was talking to somebody the other day. I was saying baseball is forever. The most frugal card market ever, and it's just mind-numbing to even look at is football. It's just insane. They just go up and down and up and down. And I really don't know, because if you think about it, through all time, you have your baseball, you have Mickey Mantle, you have Jackie Robinson, you have an iconic card. Basketball, you have MJ rookie, you have Kobe rookie, very iconic cards. Football doesn't really have a staple card other than the Bowman Brady Chrome. Yeah. That's the only one I can think of.
Walter Payton rookie.
And Walter Payton rookie. And
things like that. But it's very
very, very far and few between. Like there are so many big basketball cards, so many big baseball cards. Football is just trending crazy right now. But also when something's trending like that, the market gets absolutely flooded. Football is not forever, in my opinion. I still believe it's baseball. Baseball cards are forever, and they will always hold value. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big downtown guy, love downtowns. It's a football special insert, but now everybody loves them, so the market's absolutely flooded. So I've been dumping my downtowns, getting rid of them, going for low-numbered stuff, going for baseball.
Right, yeah, and in my opinion, like with the football cards, again, it's just obviously because it's being a contact sport, it's so much more injury-prone that's why there's also a lot of volatility there too. And what happens, you turn around and go to baseball, and the reason why, in my opinion, again, baseball is second to basketball is because of how many players there are. It's just flooded with prospects and picks and this and that, and if they turn out or don't turn out, and it's such like this guy could have all the hype in the world. 2 years into after his professional debut, he's next to nothing almost anymore.
Yeah.
And so like there's all of those. I mean, you see it, Jason Dominguez, an incredible prospect, but he's very volatile because of just, it's hard for these guys to get there, produce. But when you have the players that are drafted to like the NBA, I mean, they're coming out and they're stars, and they stay stars for a while.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Well, and there's 5 of them on the court at the time.
Exactly right.
Right. So if you're talking about just logistics, there's 100 football players on a team or 50 guys on a team, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's more, I guess the focal point is there, and it's on its stars, and honestly, I mean, you see it sometimes with guys flaking out, but usually like Cooper Flagg's going to be an all-star.
Yeah.
Like you'd be hard pressed to
outrageous.
Find somebody that say otherwise, right?
As long as he doesn't touch kids or drive-by, I mean, he's going to be good.
Just stop doing that stuff, guys.
Yes.
But and you do have some, the Greg Odens and who was the Pelicans? He didn't do that.
Zion.
Yeah. So
Zion, he's fallen off. Ja Morant just loves firearms.
Just can't get away from the guns.
Cannot get a firearm out of that guy's hands.
Off court, off field.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff also just really trashes a market and their stock.
Yeah.
It's hard to come back from. It is very, very hard to come back from. Once you are down in the dumps, it is hard to come back from. Like you see some of these guys that are playing good right now, they're underappreciated, and you can get their cards cheap. It's because they were very high at one point, they tanked, and now you got to see what happens.
Because all of media and marketing and everything else get away from them. So they don't keep them in the spotlight with all of their stuff, like Ja Morant,
Well, a small market
huge,
too.
Yeah.
Small market, right? He's not in New York and he's not in L.A., right?
Yeah,
Well,
all that matters too, though. But I mean, still though, like not as much as you would think it does.
No,
right?
the market in NBA doesn't matter as much just because of the star power on each. I mean, we saw it with Oklahoma City. Not a big market. Good luck getting some of that guy's cards right now. They're absolutely outrageous.
Dude,
Beginning of the
Shai
year,
Shai
you got them way
Gilgeous-Alexander.
down here.
Yeah.
And now they'll come up to here. Then off season, they're going to drop like every card does in the off season.
yeah.
So it'll come down, and then depending on how off season goes, how long it lasts, everything like that is going to determine where it falls, and then boom, here's something that's in the news or something that's hyped up about it again, and it'll either come up and again work just like the stock market does.
Yeah, everything you're saying is stonks.
And that's kind of how long the off season is. That's why you see such a sharp drop in football, because the
Yes.
off season is 7 months. It is
Yeah.
forever. It takes so long to get people hyped up. There is a time period where football cards will never be lower. That is after the Super Bowl and before the draft. That is their lowest point ever. And that's just the way it is. And that long off season is just a grind for these prices to come back up. And you'll see, like, that's why rookies and new product coming out that next year, that's why they're so high, because it's a rookie card, it's their first card, but it's really the next hype thing that's coming out after this long off season, because everybody's seen what these other guys have had, but we're waiting to see what these new guys have.
And not always, but more often than not, right after it comes out and right as they're hyped, that's your time to sell it.
Like a stock.
Like a stock. Because again, over time, the majority, not all, again, exceptions like Caitlin Clark and whatnot, but the majority of them, they're going to come back down from that.
Yep.
Paul
Skeens was a big one. His cards are outrageous, and he's a pitcher. It's hard for baseball world. It's very hard for a pitcher to do value long term, because you got to think they only play 1 in every 6 games.
Yeah.
So people, and if they don't pitch well, there's their market for the next week.
Yeah.
So if they go out there, and get blown up, you're not selling that card until he comes back, and then it's got to take a while for him to come back. That's why hitters in baseball, hitter prospects, if you want to collect baseball, get a first Bowman auto, base, whatever, of a hitter. If those guys get called up, they hit a home run in their first game. I mean, who knows how much they're going up to.
And again, they'll spike. But then again, like I said, I've just never seen. Baseball is a good example of just how fast it can fall. Like your Gunnar Hendersons and
Gunnar Henderson's down. Adley
Rutschman. These guys cards were huge when they first came out. Very reasonable now.
Yep.
So we're talking all these sports. Is there a hockey card?
Yeah, we haven't talked hockey, have we?
Nope. So
It's
again,
got to be a Gretzky, right?
Well, so
it is.
there are a lot of high value Gretzky cards, like his Topps or OPC rookie is one that's really highly sought after. OPC more than Topps, actually.
Yeah, Opeachy is definitely the most sought after.
But yeah, his card from a vintage perspective it is, but almost any other of his cards,
Really?
not that great.
Not a huge market, I would.
No, and then again, the guys now it's again just like any other sport. The guys that are hyped up, Connor Bedard's, and those players, Connor McDavid. Like these players are the ones that are getting more of the hype, and they're kind of staying up there a little bit right now. But again, you're talking about a high intensity sport where that's very injury prone, and that's very, all these other factors that go into it that keeps that market kind of volatile. And then on top of just not as many, fans as some of the other sports.
Right. It's kind of a Canadian. It's very popular in Canada. So if you had some big hockey cards in Canada, I'm sure you're moving them pretty well. But yeah, Gretzky, I like that you brought that up, though. Just kind of proves my point that football doesn't really have a staple point card. Not at this time. I mean, I don't know if Mahomes will do it, but yeah, hockey's got one. Baseball and basketball, they all have their big cards. I do want to throw in a tidbit of information real quick. UFC is a new sport. It's only 30-year-old sport.
Yeah.
So I think UFC is getting a lot of buzz. I just opened up a box of Topps Chrome UFC today. Hit a Tony Ferguson auto. Not great, but he's one of the GOATs of all time. And if you guys are UFC fans, I think right now would kind of be a good time to buy some of these cards because I just foresee UFC just growing in popularity. I know Mark doesn't. It's a very high contact sport. Actually, it's all contact.
Well, speaking of CTE, Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson. I mean, maybe not though. He's got his degree. He's at Harvard now. Let's go, Tony Ferguson.
He's out somewhere doing cartwheels.
Shout out to Tony Ferguson. But Ilya Tapiria, he's the guy to have right now. I've been watching UFC for a very long time. The UFC has never seen anybody like this guy. This guy is unbelievable. He is rare power speed combo. He is mean. He's the baddest thing put on planet Earth. So if you're looking at it investment wise, if you think UFC is going to keep gaining in popularity, which I think it will, it's grown so much since McGregor era, and they keep putting out a pretty decent product for the most part. Sometimes it gets a little watered down, but I just think that the card market is going to be good for UFC. So get your Ilya Tapiria. I think he will be the staple point.
It gets diluted, though, and the reason why it's not talked about as much or isn't as big because it gets diluted by the other sports like slap boxing and boxing in general, and different things like that. That fan base is all kind of the same.
Right. Combat sports is a big umbrella of a lot.
You could also talk about WWE.
Yeah.
WWE has some big cards.
TKO owns all of it now.
So they have huge cards there too, right? Yeah, that whole fan base and that whole population is all in that era. It's all in those things. And again, I've got a limited amount of WWE cards in the collection too. I mean, I have a little bit of everything. I'd say what I'm most excited about right now, though, outside of sports, is Pokemon. I mean, just because they can't get injured. They're not going to touch.
You're big on the injury.
They're not going to. Their market isn't as volatile because of those other reasons like that, and it has an international footprint, and all of these other things that kind of go into that. I mean, you can buy cards, and it doesn't matter. Rarity isn't exactly the biggest thing there. It's more about playability, hype, and those kinds of things that kind of drive that, because you could take a card right now, like for Pokemon, the Umbreon out of Evolving Skies. It's alternate art, which is a more rare version of that card. You can take that card in a grade of PSA 10, which is a perfectly graded card. There's probably about 11,000 to 15,000 of those cards in the population of PSA 10s. Yet that card's value is steadily on the rise. It's $2,500 to $3,000 card right now.
Yeah, and Pokemon has it's very international. Everybody knows what Pokemon is. And really, there's different from sports, you can actually do something with these cards. There is a game with it as well. But I feel like Pokemon is probably one of the biggest collectors items. Like, people collect these cards. They don't buy to sell. They don't try to buy for 75% comms. They don't try to flip it onto the next guy, because sports cards, it's just selling to other vendors. Personally, is from one of my experiences with selling. You're just buying and selling to other vendors. I like to keep my cards. I don't like to sell very much. I'll have some cards for sale at the show, don't worry. But they might be a little bit too high priced. Like, this guy's out of his freaking mind. It's like, I don't really want to sell it.
You just price people out.
Just don't even look at it. Don't look at my Jackson Churio first Bowman auto. Don't look at the Ronald Acuna first Bowman. Definitely don't look at the Bob Gibson rookie card. But Pokemon is a very, very collectible. Everybody is very collector oriented. I couldn't think of the word. Collector oriented is in Pokemon, and I think they don't get injured. It's very, very safe market.
All ages, it's got a lot of stuff going for it,
And everything that you're talking about, they could catch if you're watching this. The Farmington Sports Card and Collectibles Show. Ballin Breaks is going to be in the house.
Yep, I will be there.
Ballin Breaks.
Yep.
Ballin Breaks on Facebook. You have a
Ballin
website?
Breaks on Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram.
Yep.
Farmington VFW, 814 East Karsch, Saturday, July 12th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is the Knuckleball Prime Time live from the Barn Studio. Enjoyed this conversation, fellas.
Yeah.
Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Let's do it again sometime. Farmington Sports Card and Collectibles Show, Saturday, July 12th in Farmington. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.